Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's stream. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently tonight. Reason I went live with a just chatting stream instead of straight to a game. First and foremost, welcome to the room. Bit of a new image going for just chatting. Used to use a bunch of other things, but this is a little more comfy of a background, I think, comparatively to the lack of anything in the actual room here. So, yeah. From this point forward, we'll probably be seeing this room a little more with stuff. Anyways. Today, because with Gen 8 coming to an end rather officially this week with the introduction of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on Friday, I figure now is about the time to properly go through the existing list of Pokemon and pick out what are my favorites. And on top of that, if anyone's interested in it, people show up. We might do a few tier lists tonight. And if not, we're just going to roll over to Monster Hunter later. And I'm going to do some grinding. So, Anyways, no time like the present. Let's get started. I'm gonna shift myself down a little for this. Here we go. Alright, so let's start off. I am using a little thing. There's a different Pokemon of each type that has to get brought up here. So we're going to go through and we're going to pick. Alright, so first and foremost, grass. My favorite type of all. Favorite grass type. I think the easy answer here is of how much I use it and how much I've been consistently attempting to make use of it. I think Lurantis is probably the best option for that. Fire. I don't use a lot of fire types, I don't think. Definitely not Charizard. I am definitely on that boat of people who thinks that Charizard's way used, so don't think that's where I'd be going. I do, however, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't think of a fire type I like more than Magmar. Honestly, I don't care for too many of them. I think the most I've ever bothered to really put effort into using a fire type on any team I have ever used is Entei. And that's just because he fit more than anything. Aside from that, there's been a lot of Incineroar, which frankly, I don't like it, but I understand its usefulness, and thus it gets used. But one of my favorite fire types, I used to love this thing like extensively back in Gen 1 when I was a kid, and I don't really think any other fire type has ever really gone above and beyond that. Water. What is my favorite water? Let's kind of scroll through this list and see. I mean, my immediate thought is Ludicolo, but I've kind of fallen off on how much I like Ludicolo in more recent years, so. Oh, mm-hmm. That might be more the thing, actually. I do like him, but I do think. Ooh, hmm, hmm. I haven't used him in forever, but I did like him when I did. That might. No, I still think. Oh, right. That's it for water types, eh? Well, then I guess Lapras just kind of has to be up there. Because I have used it on numerous occasions. I love that the G-Max kind of gave it new life in VGC in Gen 8. Just kind of brings it back to me, huh? Right? Now, I'm not 100% sure what I'd put in for normal type. There's a couple reasons for that. I have a Pokemon that I think I would put in this slot, but it also counts as a psychic type, so don't know if there's something because I also don't think there's anything that's going to beat that thing out for the psychic type spot. Oh, yeah, that might beat it out for the normal type spot, actually. Also, always been a fan of Rokusho. Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Uh, for the normal type, I'm going to go with Furret. I haven't used this thing in a long time. There's no reason to have used it in a long time, but oh man, I still love this thing. Well, Electric's going to immediately get the my all-time favorite Pokemon. There's not even a question in my mind. And since Furret stole the normal type spot, Oranguru is definitely going to see the psychic type spot on this list. Esploud is best normal. I mean, I understand. I don't particularly like it, but my favorite fighting type. Ooh, actually. Hmm. Ooh, that does throw some stuff up in the air. Kuga for you. um, This one's actually a hard one for me because I can think of a couple things that I would put here. I think Furret might have its spot taken, actually. OT really paid off, didn't it? Yeah, like a little bit. But yeah, no, this was a image that Overkill got as part of a pack on from somebody he paid for some assets, and yeah, he just kind of gifted me this one because he wasn't going to use it. But yeah, I think I may have spoken a little too soon on a couple of these. Oranguru's going to have to take the normal spot because the psychic spot is definitely going to my boy Metacham. Because that fighting spot has to go to Berlin. And here's the top part. Lurantis, being one of my favorite Pokemon, is the favorite grass. Magmar has just kind of kept his spot from Gen 1 because I really don't care about a lot of fire types, but I just love this thing. Lapras, same thing. I've used it a bunch on story teams. No, but there's a reason. I do very much like Lurantis. It's not like Bulbasaur is going to remain off this list. My boy Breloom's going to take the fighting spot. Because I'm sitting here like, I can't choose between Metacham and Breloom. I love them both. But you know what? Oranguru beats out Furret for normal types. But yeah, no, Metacham's got to take that spot. Rock types. What's my favorite rock and what's my favorite ground? That's a rough one. I really don't actually care about Tyranitar all that much. It's good, don't get me wrong. I do not actually care all that much. That bug, so... Yeah, I'm hovering over Shuckle. He's probably my answer, but he might end up my answer for... actually. Ooh, that's hard, actually. I'm going to see what else is on the list first. Because Shuckle might take that, like, hands down. But if there's something better, he may end up as my favorite bug type. I don't really care about all that many rocks. I mean, Credilli. Credilli's cool. I don't know if I'd consider it one of my favorites over things, though. Oh, your favorite bug is also your favorite fire? That happens. I'm trying to only put certain Pokemon once each to kind of spread this out. So Pokemon are still going to get shifted around on this list. Like, plenty. Do like Credilli, but things that I just mentioned. Rhyperior's cool, but still same thing. Archeops is cool, but meh. Still kinda not over other things. Lycanrocs are neat, but no. Ooh, Stakataka, though. Yeah, no, you're right. Colossal's pretty cool, but I feel like I'm a huge amount. Stakataka might end up my favorite steel type, because I can't think of any others off the top of my head. I mean, Ferrothorn's pretty cool, but I think I grew to like Stakataka a lot more. I don't know about the stream dropping, but I'm definitely going to reset my webcam. To hopefully fix that. Like, I'm staring at my audio bar, so I know I'm not cutting out very much here, if at all. So I don't know if that's just the internet connection or you, but we'll find out. Anyways, for rock types. I didn't see anything else that I like more. So I think it's gonna be Shuckle. The ground type was without question. My favorite ground type was pretty well without question right from the get-go. My favorite flying type. For ground for you, it's Mudsdale. Yours is No, I love Torterra. Like I said, I've always been a fan of grass types, so I like a lot of grass types. So as far as ground went, I never really cared all that much. But you give me a grass ground type, and it's this fucking cool. Done. Instant favorite. The problem here is technically my favorite flying type is Zapdos. But Zapdos is also like 100% hands down best electric type in my book. So something else is going to flying spot. My next favorite flying type is also technically probably my favorite bug type. You figured out a separate fire and bug for favorites? Nice. What else is in the flying section so I can know if Fire's Volcarona bug would be Aquanid? Good choices. Both of those are really good. Anything better in the flying section or... See, that's the one thing with flying type. Nah, I don't really care much for Honchkrow Murkrow. I see the use, but eh. I mean, my boy Zatu's there, but maybe not. Like, he just kind of hasn't stuck. Like, I loved him in Gen 2. I don't know if I still like him enough to put him on the top list. There's a lot of flying types in the game, so it's a little hard to... This. Would he be a flying, or would he more be my favorite dark? Sure, I have more dark types that I enjoy than that, so I'm maybe going with him. Yeah, Salamence is flying, isn't that? That's right. Yeah, it is. It really is. Fun fact about me, I don't much care for a lot of the dragon types. So just just because I loved this thing like, the minute it happened, and I've continued to like this thing, and Unite kind of reinforced my opinion of it. I very much gotta go with Cramorant on this one. Like, I think hands down, just because the only flying type that I would probably put over Cramorant is also my favorite bug type, hands down. So, yeah, I'm just gonna put that there. That there is no bug that I like more than Butterfree. Just me and my Gen 1 ass over here. Just gonna go with the Butterfree. And this is that moment where this is why Bulbasaur wasn't the grass type. Because I knew I was putting him on poison type, no, hands down. I think it's telling. How about now? Okay. I think it's super telling that as of so far, basically the entirety of my Gen 1 story team is on this list. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe though. Dark type's a little rough. Pokemon time. Hey Emily, how you doing? Yep. Just kind of sorting through my opinions on various Pokemon and kind of picking out my favorites. And I don't know why this is kind of where my mind is going for dark types, but I swear there are things I like more, but for whatever reason, good old Mandibuzz here just keeps coming to mind for the dark type. I almost wanted to put it for flying type, but I had to give that to Cramorant because Cramorant. Not really going through every single Pokemon on the list. I'm just kind of running through my favorites and just kind of saying my little piece about that. But, just want to get this an active list going, basically. Just show people how I feel about certain Pokemon, where I stand, so to speak. And as for how I'm feeling, thank you for asking. I'm doing much better right now. I am Mandibuzz is cool in Pokemon Snap, definitely. Yeah, I've been effectively over the COVID for a little over a week now. So I'm doing pretty good. It just really, really sucked coming back home on the 30th of October and testing positive, so I couldn't take my daughter out trick or treating the next day. So that was the sucky part, more than anything. Pokemon Snap gave me so much appreciation for Pokemon I barely thought of before, like Finneon, Lumineon. Yeah, no, it definitely does that. It's a much different thing seeing them in like a natural habitat, like an actual animal, compared to it's just that thing running around annoying you, or that thing you're beating the crap out of stuff with. So glad you're feeling better. Super worried. Just don't push it too hard. Yeah, no, I feel that. My sinuses still haven't like 100% recovered from it. I'm still like consistently stuffed up a lot. Though that might just be seasonal allergies at this point. I don't know. Well, it definitely didn't help it. Anyways, favorite ghost type. And there is zero question in my mind on this one, actually. Good old ghost tree. Oh yeah, not she got candy. Uh, she was because I was away for 2 weeks. She had kind of been getting taken care of by my in-laws for a bit, so she was there. So she didn't end up getting it. We just kind of kept her there away from me for the week. So, yep, she got to go trick or treating with all her little friends. Nothing really got nothing got spread, so she's good. She got to go out. She got her candy. Found out Apom isn't in Scarlet Violet, but they've been in a lot of recent games, so not even upset. I mean, it's entirely possible they show up for a DLC. Because if they do exactly what they did for Sword and Shield, probably somewhere in the vicinity of June, we're probably going to get a DLC update real quick with a whole new area, new Pokemon added, the usual. Yeah, last time you saw my daughter, she was a tiny baby, held your hand. Yeah, one day. One day we'll find the time and the ability to do that. I don't think a lot of people haven't seen her for various reasons in the last number of years. So, anyways, ice type. This one I'm really not sure about, actually. Lapras is already like my favorite water type, so I'm not gonna go there, but who do I even like aside from that? Yeah, I've seen a bunch of the texturing on the new models. Everything looks good. It looks like they redid all of the yeah, it looks like they redid like all of the models from the ground up for this game, which is good. Because they were basically just reused the ones from X and Y in the last game, so yes, feels an option here. Abomasnow exists. I don't know how I feel about him compared to some other things, though. Any love for Frostmoth or the Abomasnow line? I like Abomasnow. I don't know if I'd call it one of my favorites. Frostmoth. Frostmoth. I liked the concept of Frostmoth initially. I think it looks cool, but my liking for it kind of got immediately diminished by its competitive not very usefulness compared to how it felt like it was going to be up front. If it returns in Scarlet Violet, you could probably actually make some good use out of it, but in Sword and Shield there really wasn't much use out of it, so I didn't really use it very much. So I don't really have a huge amount of opinion on it. I did end up with a severe like for Calyrex Ice Rider, though. I hmm. I don't. Well, I mean, aside from the one legendary that's already on this list, I don't know about putting legendaries on this list, but as far as ice types go, I don't really have any strong feelings towards any of them aside from Lapras, which is also my favorite water type, so I don't want to put it again on the list. But no, you know what? I developed over the course of like the last year with the double restricted format for competitive Pokemon. I developed a huge liking for Calyrex Ice Rider because I ended up using it a lot because it just fit my play style really, really well. So I think I have to give the ice spot to that. Steel, I already said what my favorite steel was going to be. The one correct answer for steel? I don't know. Get big brain time of Calyrex cracks you up every time. I understand. I looked at Calyrex, I thought it was weird up front, and then you got the rider forms, and I was just like, those are pretty cool. But oh man, I liked using Ice Rider so much in competitive. It's not even a competition at that point. And this is not the correct answer for Steel. I don't know. Stack Attack is pretty cool. What's the correct answer as far as you're concerned? Because a couple years ago, I probably would have said Ferrothorn, but I think over the years, I have used the heck out of Stack Attack way more than I've used Ferrothorn. So I feel like that's kind of where I want to go with this one. Aggron? Eh. Aggron's kind of basic as far as I'm concerned. Like, no hate or anything. It's cool. It's strong. Kind of basic. I like the We Are Legion brick wall over here. He's really cool. I've used him quite a bit as well because of that. And down to the last two. I already know the answers to these questions. There's only really one dragon type that I really use and that I've really given a crap about. Where'd he go? Good old Poison Dragon. Dragology ends up gets my vote for my favorite dragon type just because I love this thing. I love it so much. I wish it was more useful in the long run than it ended up being in competitive, but I love it. And the amount I've used it. Dragapult is good. I really like Dragapult. I have seen it way too much. But I love Dragalge. I love his the whole look of him. I love the fact that I've won some really silly matches with him before, and Dynamax was awesome for him, but he is my favorite dragon, just hands down. And for fairy type, I already know the answer to this one too. Anti-fairy in Oros, yeah. The poison type that could down a fairy type. You somehow forgot Dragapult, the pseudo-legendary with drag in its name, is a dragon type. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, my favorite fairy type is 100% Comfey. I put this thing on every team I get an opportunity to. It is an amazing support Pokemon, and I love it to death. It is such a silly design. It is such a silly idea for a Pokemon, but I just love it. All right, and that is the list. And oh, I have to do a captcha. Needs more tiny hats. It really does. Alrighty. So we have the full list. Lurantis is the favorite grass. Magmar is my fire type. Sure, I can send you a link. You'd like to see the site too? Alrighty, well, I'm just going to put it right in the chat then. That may be a link to my version specifically, but we'll see. Save this image. And I will be posting that on Twitter later. Let's open this up a little bit. There we go. More what I want. There we go. That's a lot better. Lurantis is in. Yeah. No, I've seen that. That's definitely a thing with it. And yes, I am very happy that Lurantis is in Scarlet Violet. I am, however, disappointed to hear that that it loses superpower as a move, though, which puts a little bit of a damper in my usage of it. But we'll find some way to make it work, I'm sure. But yeah. Yeah, we got Lurantis, Magmar, Lapras, Oranguru, Zapdos, because that's my all-time favorite Pokemon. Metacham, Breloom, also has very fashionable pants. It does. Breloom, Shuckle, Torterra, Cramorant, Butterfree, Venusaur, Mandibuzz, Trevenant, Calyrex Ice Rider, Stakataka, Dragalge, and Comfey over there in the bottom corner. Love all of these things. Cramorant is definitely an odd moment on this list, but Unite kind of did that to me. I loved the thing from the beginning, but Unite kind of cemented how much I like that thing. I do kind of laugh at how, when I look at this list right now, there is 5 out of 6 members of my original Pokemon Blue story team are on this list. Nostalgia is real, ladies and gentlemen. If Zapdos is your favorite, how do you feel about Galarian Zapdos? Cool or not? I do really like Galarian Zapdos. The redesign is very cool. I like that it's a little more grounded. While they've kind of kept the old design to an extent, they just kind of palette swapped it a bit. If anything, I think I like the form better. But I think the electric flying was always kind of cooler than the flying fighting type that the Galarian version is. Like, I tried to make use of the Galarian version on a competitive team at one point as well, and it worked to an extent, but not quite as well as I wanted it to. Okay, so next up here, just gonna put that away for the time being while I move on and pull up something else. I was hoping to do some tier lists here. So let's, while I'm at this, not sure what specifically. This flightless and almost roadrunner, like it's probably the most interesting of the three changes made to the birds, I think, but I do like electric. Yeah, same. I definitely like. I liked all the Galarian birds. Oh no, Emily, 100%. You talking right now is exactly what I want. Most streamers would rather people be talking in chat, especially on a just chatting stream. Most streamers would very much prefer that people be talking to them. Otherwise, they're just sitting here talking to themselves for an hour. But I'm here for the conversation. But yeah, I wanted to do some tier lists. We gotta find one first. So let's see. You never talk too much. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. What tier lists do we have for Pokemon? Oh man. Oh, look at that. Oh god. This one might take a while. Nah, that's perfectly fine, Emily. It's nice to have the conversation going. I am staring currently at a tier list of all Pokemon in existence. And I'm like, ooh, that's a long one. Don't know if I want to do that right now. Definitely it would be a thing, but something a little more limited, maybe. Also doing that. Yeah, it is hard to do that by type. I kind of prefer it that way though, because at least that way it gives me like a good variety of different Pokemon on my favorites list instead of just me trying to name off like the top 10, which is a lot harder to do in my opinion, but when I actually have like a guideline on how to go about selecting it, it feels like it's a little more easier. Just maybe just the way my brain's wired. But like trying to like actively sit there and go, here's the top 10 favorite Pokemon. If I did that, they'd probably almost all be grass type. Just yeah. But let's see. I mean, this one's probably good. Yeah, this tier list is probably a good place to start. Okay, so let's just bring it back up. You're gonna post in my Discord? Alright, cool. Because I'm gonna be posting my list on Twitter after the stream as well, which will pop up in my Discord, so, you know. And maybe I'll throw it up in a couple other places too with the link, just so other people can try. Anyways, we have... And that doesn't feel right, but okay. Something's up with the, Something is definitely up here with the way that things are being... Oh, it's definitely... So why is this so low? That's probably fine right there. All right, so we have here instead a Pokemon starter tier list. Okay, so we're gonna separate this with the best. Good. Kinda useful. We'll try not to get mad. Everyone's opinions are valid. I keep telling myself, yeah, yeah. It's like kind of useful. Why? And trash. Here are my tiers. I'm going to aggravate some people today. But Bulbasaur is going up top. We all saw it coming. Don't question it. Aside from that, Chikorita here is going right where she belongs. And Totodile is making his way up just behind Bulbasaur where he belongs. Anyways, moving on here. Let's see. We have... Let's just go in order. Charmander. Charmander I'm putting in good. I think it's overrated as all hell. But I understand why. Charizard's really good too, but once again, put Char in trash just to troll. Nah, I'm not gonna do that to it. As much as I definitely, probably at this point, would never go through a Gen 1 game or any sort of Red Blue remake with Charmander, because I just don't care. I see the point of it. It's not bad. Squirtle as well. So I think my opinion of Squirtle is actually better than my opinion of Charmander, just because of the way that Wartortle has been an absolute in unit for me in a couple of leagues. So Squirtle gets to go up there. Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil goes in the kind of useful section, I guess. I really... Your favorite ghost types, all of other types that are already selected as your favorites for those types. I understand. Trust me. I had to shift around a couple of mine because I went... But I also think this Pokemon's better, though. So I had to shift some guys around because I didn't even think about it until afterwards. I don't really care much for Cyndaquil. Like, it's okay. It's definitely got its uses. I don't much care for it. Doesn't have a lot going for it as Typhlosion. The hardest trio to choose from is definitely the Kanto ones. In a way, I'm so glad Yellow was your first, so you didn't have to choose. Cyndaquil was your pre-Gen 5. Ah, yes. Embor. Cyndaquil, I don't know. Typhlosion just never had a lot going for it in the originals. Like, Feraligatr was where it was at. Like, hands down. The other two just kind of were eh. Like, Chikorita was just bad. Cyndaquil was eh. But then there was Feraligatr. Embor is trash. Oh, who's your favorite fire? Who's your favorite fire type then? Actually, I think you said earlier your favorite fire type was also your favorite of something else. So, or we were talking about starters, so I immediately jumped to the Gen 5's fire starter. All right, we have Trico. Oh, Volcarona. Yeah, definitely. I see it. Yeah. We have Trico. I think, as much as I like Sceptile, I don't think it's like the best starter to use even in its own game. Like, I almost immediately swapped it out during my Oros run because I found better things. But Mega Sceptile is one of my favorite Megas, hands down, so I do have to put it up there. It's not going in the best, but I think it's gonna top out my ranking of good here. Torchic. Hot take. Grovyle is just as good as Sceptile. Eh. Torchic. Oh, it's definitely grass. Oh, Grovyle better than Sceptile. I wouldn't say so. I do really like Sceptile as a design. Grass types are definitely my most chosen. Uh, to the point where the grass type starter has literally been my first choice in every single generation except for Gen 2. As you can probably tell from Chikorita being down here. Oh, yeah. You chose grass and I chose grass and Kalos as well. But Chespin didn't end up being that good as far as I was concerned. But we're still going in order here. Torchic. I'm not going to give it flack for being like one of 3 firefighting type starters when it was the first one. I'm definitely going to rate it better than Charmander. But yeah, no, it's still a little overrated, and I'd still take the Trico. Then we got Mudkip over here. Chestnut's cool, don't get me wrong. It's just, realistically, for usefulness sake, like, for sake of usefulness, I found myself not using it, like, at all outside of the story. So, it's one of those things where there's just better in a lot of different regards. Also, Greninja's superiority in that generation, for real, just wasn't even fair. Alright, now we got Turtwig. Mudkip's your favorite starter, but I'm always afraid to say that because of the meme. I get you. I really do. But at the same time, water ground is really good typing. Like, it's that, like, Swampert still sees use. Like, it's kind of a meme Pokemon to be true, but it sees use successfully. Turtwig. And yeah, I want to put it pretty squarely here. As much as I love it, and as much as its final evolution is my favorite ground type, yeah. Yeah, everything else here is above it. Chimchar. Still a little more useful than Cyndaquil, but still just going in the kind of useful. I do not. And then you have Piplup. just moving through the Gen 4 starters because I have absolutely no strong connection to most of the Gen 4 starters, aside from Torterra being one of my favorite Pokemon. Just, nah, you two can stay down here. You're not useless, but it's also super weird because electricity is your aesthetic. You love lightning bolts and electric imagery and electric type attacks, but you feel more drawn to all of the things ground type. It's like the opposite, right? Snivy over here. I have to do this, but I like Superior, but I like Superior, but my liking of Superior is completely dependent on the fact that it was a grass type that you could use Contrary. And Lurantis just does that so much better. And outside of that use, I do not care for Snivy all that much. It's going down my Y. Then we got Tepig over here, which going a little below Snivy. I wouldn't call it trash, but I don't like it. Oshawott. Actually, they didn't nerf Contrary in Scarlet Violet. Uh, that leak was actually a typo. What actually got nerfed so it only works once is the ability competitive. It's been confirmed at this point. Contrary is actually staying exactly as it's always been, but Defiant and Competitive were getting nerfed so that they only work once. Oshawott could have been your favorite starter, but just did not connect with Samurott as much as you'd hoped. Yeah, I understand that. Honestly, for Black and White being my favorite Pokemon games, the starters for that game are just kind of shit. Don't worry about it. Restarted to see if it would fix the stream. Alright. Don't worry about that. It's not really false information. You're not the one who was originally spreading it. Just the main Twitter account that's been spreading the leaks said that they nerfed Defiant and Contrary. But realistically, nerfing Defiant without nerfing Competitive is weird because they're the same ability, but one's physical, one's special. So the point was, the tweet meant to say both of those, not Contrary. Yeah, it took a few days for you to realize Protean is not in fact Protean, spelled weirdly. Protean is Greninja's hidden ability. Also, the ability for Sprigatito's final evolution in Scarlet Violet, apparently, as I've been told. They nerfed that. So it only goes off once per switch in. Which is kind of a weird balance change. I don't feel like that was that bad of an ability, but maybe it just works weird in conjunction with the terastallization or something. There's got to be some balance reason they did that. And also, Armorhide, yes, I saw the Oshawott and trash comment. Yes, because it is trash. Tepig's about this close to being in there too, but I do think it's got at least its uses. Also, if you notice, despite the fact that I'd say Black and White are like my favorite Pokemon games, I really don't like the starters. The starters are kind of like the worst set of starters ever. Nah, Protean, just like at Protean, and also another ability called Libero, which is literally the exact same ability with a different name, which is Cinderace's ability. Both of those got nerfed because it used to be that every time that Pokemon used an attack, it would change into that type. Now it only works once per switch in. You can switch the Pokemon out, bring it back in, it'll be its original typing, and then it'll change again next time you use an attack, but you can only do it once per switch in. Oshawott's a good otter child. Honestly, they tried to make Oshawott cool again, or Samurott anyway, in Legends Arceus. They failed. The other two were still way better. As far as I'm concerned, the Hisuian Samurott did not fix things. Oshawott is trash. Chestnut. Or more Chespin in this case, I guess. As much as I like him, he's definitely above Snivy, but he's definitely going in the Y category because, yeah, I cannot in good conscience put him any higher than that. As much as I like the design, I think he's adorable, and I have used Chestnut a fair amount. It's just it's not that useful in comparison to the other two. Fennekin. Now, I just mean trash in general as far as I'm concerned. Just like, I just mean in general, like, I play competitive, so yeah, that's a chunk of my mindset, is that it's not that useful, but realistically, in comparison to anything else in the game it's in, it's just not worth using. The fact that I just dropped Fennekin in there, the entirety of the Japanese community is now going to be showing up at my door with pitchforks. But I hate Delphox. I think Delphox is like one of the worst designed Pokemon in ever. And I know that the entirety... Oh yeah, I'd be kind to any Pokemon. I'm just saying, as far as the starters go, these are the ones that I could never rationalize in my head picking. It's like, purposely, if I had any other choice, I could not see myself ever picking these ones. Yeah, I realize that the middle form Braixen is what the Japanese community likes because yeah, that's about as far as I'm going into that description. But I just don't. Delphox just kind of ruins the whole thing for me. That brings us to Froakie. Just, yeah. I can't say anything bad about it. I really can't. The worst thing I can say about Froakie and Greninja by extension is that it's way too popular. And is that really... aside from me just being a contrarian, is that really an argument? Like, it's way too popular, but somehow, despite being the literal most popular Pokemon in existence, somehow it's not oversaturated. Like, somehow, despite being the number one most liked Pokemon in existence, Froakie is just, it doesn't get used. Like, Pokemon Company doesn't push it very much outside of Gen 6. How am I going to rate the Scarlet Violet starters without the meta existing yet? I know certain things, so I'm going to base it completely off of what I know. My opinion on them might change entirely as I play through the game, but I'm going to, for now, position them where I think they're going to end up. Rowlet. Where to... Yeah. Yeah. And on the point of competitive, he's not actually all that good at the end of the day, but no, I just like Rowlet. My liking for his design and that Pokemon in general just trumps any issues I have with his performance in competitive. Yeah. Well, they push the final evolution because the final evolution is literally 100% confirmed the most popular Pokemon in existence. Charizard gets pushed as hard as it does because that's the developer's favorite. But whenever you look at popularity polls, Greninja's actually above Charizard. Your favorite Scarlet Violet starter is Holt? I don't know which starter you're talking about, Armride. Ah, fair enough, I guess. All right, on the note of Litten. You love the tongue scarf? Yeah, no, the tongue scarf is pretty good. Litten. My dislike versus the competitive. He's not getting above my two grass boys over here, just for liking purposes, but God, is Incineroar a little too good. But I've grown to dislike it heavily just because of how it is everywhere in competitive. And most ladies like the tongue scarf. God, armor high. Oh my god. And there's Poplio. Poplio goes in kind of useful, if only because it's not terrible. The fairy typing on its final evolution is kind of useful. And I've actively used Primarina on competitive teams before because it's actually a decent Mon in Trick Room. So, no issues here. Okay, Grookey. I do like my grass monkey quite a bit. Rillaboom is also absolutely ridiculous, though they have nerfed him into the ground a little bit for Scarlet and Violet, apparently. He's lost about half of his useful move kit. So, very limited usefulness now. I'm going to go ahead and take Scorbunny and throw it into the good category. I like it. It's good. I'm not putting it above Squirtle. It's definitely better in my mind than Torchic, but Charmander just gets a level of dislike because of how hard Charizard gets pushed, so that brings him down for me. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous in and of himself anyway. Sobble! Another one you like the first form of and not the last form. Intellion's a thing. I don't think he's great. I don't hate him. I want to put him in kind of useful. I'll put him like high kind of useful though. Because I did choose him rather specifically for my Nuzlocke. Because it did make it easier in the long run, I think. So as far as like playing Sword and Shield goes, I think Sobble is probably the best starter for the actual story. But God, is Scorbunny and Grookey just better in the long run. Alright, now we're down to the 3 new starters for Scarlet and Violet. Sobble goes from sad pure boy to power bottom. Nice. Catch that muck, hopefully. Anyways. Quaxley. From what I'm hearing so far and what I've seen of design-wise, I'm going to put him in Y, just a little above Chespin here. I don't care for his design very much. I definitely see what they were going for, but I think I don't care for him too much. I have no idea who to choose for your Scarlet Violet starter. I'm going with Sprigatito. I'm just going to follow through on my usual thing and just grab the grass type. On which note, as much as the evolutionary line concerns me. So I personally think Sprigatito is probably just going to go in the middle of the good tier. Just because... Yeah, I'm going to put him in the middle of good tier right now. I like his design. I was kind of drawn to him immediately. What I've seen of the evolutionary line kind of bugs me, and I feel like it's design-wise, it's going a little closer to like what Fennekin's evolutionary line was. And it's got Greninja's ability, which admittedly they're nerfing. So I don't know how good he's going to be on that end, but I still feel like he's going to be good. And then Fuecoco over here. I'm going to put him right next to Scorbunny right now. I think he's also going to be a really good option. And he's design-wise for... I like the design, the crocodile mixed with a habanero pepper. It's cool. I like it. But yeah, I don't know if I want to put him above other things just for design purposes, but his evolution line looks neat as well. So I think that's what we're doing with this. We're going to download the image so I have it. And that is the tier list for starters. Let's see. That one, where'd it go? Here we go. Let's just bring that down for a second. Well, we're going to go back and double check. While we're on the tier list thing, any like specific tier lists that you guys might want to see me do aside from just Pokemon themed ones? Because, obviously that's an easy place to go right now, but I mean, there's also a tier list for the Pokemon mainline games. So I'd be ranking all the different generations. So that's definitely an option right now. Tier list of Digimon partners from the animes. Let's see. I mean, a tier list of Pokemon types. That might be the thing. I just found a tier list of Digimon music. So gonna pull that one up and I will kind of bring that up. But yeah, well let's see Pokemon types is definitely one I could do. Alright. I think I got 3 tier lists I can do now. So let's go into presentation mode and tier list goes up. Let's see. I don't need that last row. Alright. So tier list of Pokemon types. Let's see. Now, obviously, to start with, personal preference showing and all, grass type number 1. Going up in the best. And that's not really up for debate, even competitively. Because a lot of grass types are like incredibly viable and just have seen lots of use over the years. So it's not even a bad way of looking at it. Let's see here. fairy. Let's just go in order. Bug type. Uh, Bug type's pretty mid. Now, as somebody who uses a lot of grass types and likes grass types, you think I'd be down for the bugs as well, but unfortunately, just in my experience, a lot of bug types just don't pull their weight very much. Like, there's a handful of bug types that I absolutely adore, but overall, the typing's kind of mid, and part of that has a lot to do with the fact that every game's got that early on bug type that's just kind of, it's okay, you maybe use it for the first couple gyms and then you throw it in the box, never to be seen ever again. And that's a lot of the type. Dark type. I think dark types go in the high quality. The type itself, some of your favorite Pokemon are bugs, but overall bugs aren't that great. Yeah, exactly. There are some really good bug types that I love, but overall the typing in and of itself is kinda eh. There's a lot more bad than good, unfortunately. Dark types, there's a lot of good dark types, and a lot of them are super useful competitively. And just flat out being immune to psychic attacks is already a really good plus. But yeah, no, dark type's definitely up there. Dragon. Dragon goes in overrated. I will catch flack from that from a lot of people, but dragon types are overrated. A lot of legendaries are dragons, and I hate that they keep doing that. I find there's a huge difference between Pokemon of a type and attacks of a type. That too. I'm kind of going for a balance of both here. Dragon types in general, I think, are overrated. Like, they have a... There's a huge thing out there of people who adore dragon types, and every single generation there's a new, really cool dragon type that everyone makes their favorite, but at the end of the day, it's not the dragon typing that makes those Pokemon cool. It's the other type that's mixed with dragon. You like electric type attacks are by far your favorite, no contest, but you're confused with why you haven't been super drawn to many electric type Pokemon. Yeah, that happens too a lot. But, like I said, dragon types aren't cool because of the dragon typing. They're cool because of the things that get mixed with the dragon typing. Like, dragon type attacks at this point aren't very good because of the prevalence of fairy types. So, dragon just kind of falls by the wayside at this point. But yeah, the dragon typing itself, overrated. Electric. The weirdest one's flying type. Why is flying a type? Yeah. I mean, flying types overall are decent. But, you know. Electric. I think electric kind of goes in the midsection. Just on that note of, there's a lot, like you said, electric moves are great. Electric Pokemon, and I say this as someone who loves Zapdos. Electric Pokemon, there's a lot of There's some good ones, don't get me wrong, but by and large, I think a lot of electric type Pokemon are just kind of meh. The attacks are great. In Temtem, it's called... Yeah, in Temtem, flying types are called wind type, and that makes more sense. Yeah, it really does. At least they didn't keep it bird type like in the RG. Yeah. Fairy types. Hands down, I think fairy type is like one of the best types in the game. Like, the ability to keep dragon types in check, to super effective against dark types, and realistically, your only weaknesses are poison and steel. Yeah. Gonna talk overrated, that's fairy. Now, see, that's the thing. I don't think fairy is overrated. In competitive use, fairy types are everywhere. Dragons are like, they're there, but like only a handful of them. But like almost every single fairy type sees competitive use in one way or another. The typing itself is just so good. This thing me and my sheltered friend made, Moviemon, sort of fixed all the things we thought were weird to Pokemon. Flying became air, rock and ground were put together into earth. Yeah, makes sense. Fighting types. Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing, Armorhide. I'm a comp player, you're a casual player. Two very different criteria. Yeah. The rule of cool kind of works for you, whereas in my case, I actually look at the usefulness of it at the end of the day. You have really weird stuff like paranormal instead of psychic and mutant, tech, and virus being types. Yeah, I can see that. I'm going to upset a lot of people in about 2 seconds, but fighting type, overrated. Food type. Yeah, Pokemon should do that. There's a bunch of Pokemon that are basically just food items. Yeah, fighting type, definitely overrated. There's a lot of cool Pokemon that are fighting types, but overall, the typing itself just gets a lot of likes. But really, it's not that good. I mean, it can super effective 5 different types, but so can rock and ground. Had no idea how type balance works, so we sort of look back on it years later. Like, oh crap, we need to balance this. Yeah. You agree with fighting type is overrated? Yeah. Fire type. Yeah. There's some cool fighting types, like I said, but I think overall it's just kind of. It's not very good. Fire type. As much as the grass type trainer in me wants to throw this down into the bottom of this tier list, the competitive player in me just physically can't. Fire types are overall kind of high quality, I think. There's a lot of usefulness. There's a lot of, for lack of a better word, firepower going on here. And especially with drought being a thing with them, they can kind of offset their biggest weakness. So it's just good. Moviemon was just two 10-year-olds playing at recess, and then it got into competitive Pokemon. Suddenly we had to make it make sense. I see. Flying type. I don't think flying. I have a lot of the same issue with flying type that I do with dragon, in that it's not the flying type side that makes those Pokemon cool, it's the other thing that's mixed with flying type. But I don't think it's overrated, because I don't think there's a lot of people who sit there and go on about how flying is the best. So realistically, I think flying just ends up mid. Just very mid. Like, the usefulness with Dynamax was a thing, but hey. Craziest thing, though, is we had a Movimon with Mimikyu's ability several years before Mimikyu existed. At least predicted something. Yeah. No, that's always cool. Ghost types. Ghost types are so useful. Like, the ability to completely negate damage from two completely different types of attacks is huge. And the fact that it's super effective itself, so it even kind of checks itself, is also really good for that. It didn't predict any of the givens with Megas or anything, after which, yeah. Two kids who decided to move Moms like 20 gyms didn't decide to go that far. Yeah. I think ground type's also high quality, but I think it's the lower end of that. Because, yeah, it's so useful. A lot of them are really good. But I don't think it's quite as useful as Fire, Dark, or Ghost offhand. This one absolutely pains me, but Ice type's in the Y section. Ice type may or may not be the only type that ends up in the Y section. Mainly because Ice types just don't have it that good. Like, they get super effective, then one-shot by, like, almost all of the top moves in the meta. And on top of that, they're not terribly bulky. And they don't really have much... They don't really have much going for them. Like, Rock and Ground can super effective 5 different types each. Like, offensively, Rock and Ground can do a lot. Rocks kind of have the same issue with weaknesses, though Ground kind of doesn't. But Rock offensively and at least has the defensive value. And with Sandstorm, Rock and Ground types get defense boosts. Whereas previously, Ice types don't get that in Hail. They just don't take damage. Now, apparently, this is probably getting fixed this generation. I am very hopeful for this, but from what I'm hearing from the leaks, Ice types may be a lot more useful in Scarlet and Violet. Number one, terrestrialization makes it so they don't have to worry about the defensive issues anymore. And B, they're changing how Hail works. I think they've changed the name of it to Snowstorm. I think I heard. I might be wrong on that one. But apparently now they've set it so that Ice types get defense and special defense boosts in Hail. Which makes that a hell of a lot more useful. So they actually have some support now, which might make them good. But for now, because I can't confirm any of that, they're going in Y. Normal types, I'm putting them in mid. Normal types are kind of boring for the most part. But you're going to tell me that most normal types are immune to Ghost, can only be hit super effective by a fighting type, which frankly is common, but... And their moves can only be resisted by Ghosts that resist them fully, and Steel type, which take half damage. That's some value right there. Like, they might be boring, but there's a lot of decent normal types, and just all around, normal type is just kind of a safe choice. You don't get a whole lot out of it, but there's not a lot of defensive downsides either. So, mid. but, you know. Poison... I think Poison's largely going in overrated. Like, aside from, like, the utility value of poisoning an opponent, which literally any Pokemon can do because Toxic can be learned by everything, Poison types, by and large, aren't all that great. I mean, there's some exceptions to that, some really obvious exceptions to that. But, yeah, by and large, it's not that useful a type, and it gets hit really hard by multiple really common things. A lot of those Pokemon get, like, held up there as being really good, but they're not in the long run. Psychic type, there's a lot of really good psychic types, but by and large, they just kind of glass cannons that crumple, so there's a lot of usefulness, so I'm going to put it in mid. You feel about poison, how you feel about flying? It's what gets paired with it that's good. Yeah, you're about right. Like, I put Venusaur decently high on my favorites list, and Dragalge. I like poison types, but I just, overall, I don't think it's great. I think it's overrated, very much so. Rock type is... It doesn't go in Y. I don't think it's overrated. I think Rock's definitely going in mid. I will kind of move Psychic up a little bit onto in the mid section, but yeah. I do think normal might be more useful than flying in the long day at the end of the day. Like I said, Rock has some serious defensive downsides, but it's also got a lot of offensive upsides. And a lot of really useful Pokemon therein that I think it's just a very balanced typing. Steel. Kinda, but I think ground's more useful at the end of the day. It doesn't have quite as many defensive downsides for the really good offensive value. And the fact that it completely resists electric, which is one of the more commonly used move types. Because, like, almost everything with high attack power learns an electric move. So I think ground definitely goes a little higher up than rock. Steel type, high quality. Just the ability to resist 5 different things and to completely resist and negate poison type attacks is amazing defensive value. And steel type being able to counter fairy is also on the table. So, as high use as fairies are, steel downs them. So it's really good. And down to the end of it, we have water types. There's a lot of really good water types. Like, that... I mean, but realistically, though, there's a lot of good water types because there's a lot of water types. Like, I do believe that water type is, like, the most common type in the game. I might be wrong on that, but I think there's more water type Pokemon than there is any other type of Pokemon. Especially when you look at Gen 1. So, there's a lot of great and there's a lot of bad, but that's all because there's a lot of it. But all in all, I do think it's a really good type to have. Like, you almost always want to have a water type somewhere on your team. Because it just deals with so many things. So I feel like I definitely want to put it in the high quality, but I don't want to put it too high up there. All right. That's that tier list. But yeah, this is kind of how I place all the different types in Pokemon. The only one I think is like, why the heck would you do that is Ice. But yeah, these three being overrated is about as bad as I'll say about a lot of things. Everything else is pretty up there. Anyways, moving on. We have uh, presentation mode, dark mode, please. Here we go. All right, we have below meh, we have D is just going to be painful. Actually, not really painful. We're going to say boring. Because the worst thing a Pokemon game can be is boring. Like, love the God tier games, the good ones, meh, bad games, and just the flat out boring ones. So, let's see. Right off the. Oh, okay, that's how they chose to do it. Yeah, there's. Do they have Pokemon Red on here, but they don't have. Oh, there's Blue. Never mind. Okay, we have to start off with on the list Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. I do think that I'm going to put the two of them next to each other when I find it. I do think Oros were good games. I enjoyed them. So we will put them decently high up. This one is. Okay, Black 2. They've really just thrown these wherever the heck on all this, huh? These games are in like no particular order. Okay, Pokemon Black 2. I think the Gen 5 sequels were pretty good games. They're definitely up there in my opinion. Where's White 2 in all of this? Because I'd like to stick them together if at all possible. Here it is. Yeah, so far we have Oros and the Gen 5 remakes were all good games. Actually, if anything, I think I put the Gen 5 sequels above Oros because I liked them more. Now, next up, we're going to have the God tier games, Black and White, which overall I think are the best Pokemon games. They had the best storyline out of every single one, the best rival in N, the best evil team in Team Plasma, and just the fact that they limited you just to the new Pokemon for the first chunk of the game until you basically beat it was really nice. I like the fact that it basically said, fresh experience, none of your familiar stuff is here, go nuts. A lot of people hate it for that, but nah. Pokemon Blue and Red. Oh, that's fine. Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Red. Team Plasma theme top tier. Yeah, Black and White are god tier. They are in my opinion the best Pokemon games. The sequels were also really good, so I put them up at the top of the good tier. They were not as good as the original, but they were still really good. Yeah. Blue and Red. I nostalgia wise, I really like these. These are the games that got me into Pokemon in the first place. Looking back at them though, they're not great. However, I think overall they kind of stand the test of time for what they were. So I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're great. So they're just gonna kind of go in meh. Yellow version, separate tier. I do think yellow goes into bad. Whereas red and blue kind of keep their position in meh because of my nostalgia value for them. Yellow does not get that same nostalgia value, and the fact that it was just a cash in on the anime kind of brings it down a little peg for me. You like LOTR, you'll respect them for the groundwork they laid down, but they are far from your favorites. Yeah. Crystal. Let's wait until I do gold and silver first, but actually, yeah. So Pokemon Crystal. Boring. Pokemon Crystal manages this spot in boring because this is the game that killed Pokemon for me for a long time. I just. It might be no fault of its own. It might be because that's just the point where I burned myself out on the franchise. But unfortunately, Crystal takes that bottom tier thing just because of where it was at that moment. That was your first game where you began to understand how to play? Yeah, I get it. But I just don't. Might as well just go straight to the original gold and silver on this one then. Gold and silver had some much needed improvements, but I think they were probably they're definitely better than yellow though. They're still not great games, and at the end of the day, they kind of felt a little more padded out and didn't really have anywhere clear that they were going. And I hear Crystal kind of fixes that to an extent with the whole Suicune storyline, but no. Gen 2 just didn't go over very well. Yellow was your first. You couldn't play Red Blue because your mom was. Yeah. See, I started with Blue. And then, like, the very next year for Christmas, my mom bought me Red, not realizing it was literally the same game. And she bought my sister Yellow version, which had just come out. And she was playing that, and then I ended up playing that because she couldn't get past Brock. But, yeah. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Yep, that's where they belong. Boring. Those two games are physically just my least favorite Pokemon gen of all time. If Pokemon Crystal is the game that killed the franchise for me for a long time, Diamond and Pearl are the games that failed to get me back into it. I just gave them a try because everybody was on about how great they were and how we needed to play this. And it's just zero interest. It was boring. Like, it just did not interest me in the slightest. Pokemon Emerald, by extension Ruby and Sapphire. He felt dumb with Diamond for not knowing about physical special moves. That split happened in Ruby and Sapphire, didn't it? Or was that something they added for it? It was weird. Okay. Because I know Ruby Sapphire, like, completely altered the battle system, so I keep thinking that that was the game that split the two. But you're probably right, because I do think I heard from someone that it was Diamond and Pearl. I just didn't care for them at all. And I was so hopeful that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl would, fix it for me and would make me care about Gen 4, but I just did not. Like, I felt like the entire time I was going through Brilliant Diamond, like, I was playing it to hate it. Like, I was hate playing it. Like, I was playing it because it was a Pokemon game, but I just sat there just. I basically riff tracked that whole game. Like, if you go back and watch when I was like my run through of Team Galactic, Team Galactic is hands down the worst team. Yeah, the Underground was a neat addition, but getting through the game was just painful, boring. Anyways, Ruby Sapphire. I will mark them a little higher than I mark Red and Blue, but I still think those two are kind of meh. Like, nothing especially special on that. And I think, like, all the additions that Oros put in there were definitely good. Like, I liked that. I enjoyed them more. I don't know if it was just me riding the Gen 6 hype at that point, because that's when I started back into the franchise, really. But I did enjoy Oros a lot more than I enjoyed the actual, like, Ruby and Sapphire games originally. Emerald. Emerald I'll kind of toss up here just for all the extra additions. Emerald can go up there above Oros. Oros was definitely an improvement on Ruby and Sapphire. Oros was missing a lot of the really cool additions that Emerald added. So Emerald definitely kind of comes above Oros, but Oros is better than Ruby and Sapphire. Fire Red and Leaf Green. I'm gonna have to throw this here because I can't really make a distinction on how much better those were, if at all, than the original games because I haven't played them. Just like I said, Crystal killed Pokemon for me for a long time, so I completely skipped Gen 3. I didn't even own a Game Boy Advance. So I completely missed Fire Red, Leaf Green. And then there's Heart Gold, Soul Silver, which also never actually played those remakes. Because once again, Crystal killed my drive to play Pokemon, and then the Gen 4 games were just absolutely painfully boring to me, so I kind of sat out Gen 4. So I just didn't. I've never gone back and tried to play those two specifically. So, maybe one day. Maybe one day I might pull the Fire Red Leaf Green, or the Heart Gold Soul Silver Nuzlocke or something on stream, because once again, being the only Pokemon games I've never really touched, might be worth it to try. Eevee, let's go Eevee and Pikachu. They're not terrible, and it pains me that I'm physically sticking them above the original games that they effectively tried to remake. But they're not bad. They're pretty solid Pokemon games, and they added a lot of mechanics that ended up getting kept for Sword and Shield, and like they were the games that pioneered the Pokemon running around in the overworld to catch. Like, they were good for that. The Pokemon Go mechanics were kinda killed a lot of my level of hype for them, but I can't say I hated them. Oh, right, Platinum is kind of here, huh? Well, I hear it was better than Diamond and Pearl, but I can't say I can't say I cared for it all that much, and it kind of still just sort of... Like, I started a run through of it for a Nuzlocke. I got, like, halfway through and just didn't feel like continuing. Like, it just did not feel any better than the base games to me, so I'm just kind of... eh. Sun and Moon. Okay, hot take. I think Sun and Moon were good games. They tried something new. They tried to shake up the same old formula. It kind of... They kind of fell off of it partway through, but it was still good. I enjoyed them. Team Skull was interesting, at least. The Aether Foundation kind of showed up out of the blue and went, hey, we were actually the villains the whole time. And then Lusamine being Mother from Hell is kind of... It was a good game. I liked them. I enjoyed them. Were they better than Oros? Hell no. But they're definitely good games. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, for being literally the same game with minor changes, and then trying to feed us literally only a year later, and then trying to feed us the excuse that it's an alternate version, where it's an alternate universe because wormholes, where things are slightly different. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon were just bad. Like, I cannot give them anything. It was literally the exact same game with some minor differences so that we could say it was an alternate universe. It's a parallel universe where things happen slightly different. Ooh. Screw you. It was the most blatant excuse to give us the same game a second time. They weren't boring because they were still Sun and Moon, but they were bad. For what they did, they were bad. Now, the two Necrozma forms for the other legendaries are really nice. I do like that happened. But, God, just no. X and Y. I'm going to mark them decently high because they were the games that got me back into Pokemon. And I do adore a lot of what it did for the franchise. But at the end of the day, like, almost nothing in those games is memorable. They did some cool stuff. They added some cool things. Mega Evolutions were amazing. And they were a great addition to the whole thing. But outside of Mega Evolutions happening, like, none of the characters or locations in X and Y are terribly memorable. And even the evil Team Flare was like, if Team Galactic literally wasn't a bunch of emo guys hanging around pretending to be as evil as they could be, and if their leader wasn't like the most boring guy in existence, I'd say that Team Flare was the worst team. But Team Galactic exists, so the Team Flare's not the worst team. Oh man, this is like the hot take stream right now. But yeah, no, X and Y just sit at the high end of meta tier. Yes, I put them above Ruby and Sapphire, deal with it. Emerald's still in good games, so shut up, all you Gen 3 simps. That's the thing. Team Galactic's entire deal was, I don't like this world. I want to make another one. And even then, that was their leader's deal. The team was just like, screw everything, we're emo. And that was it. Yeah, you're a Gen 3 sim, but you agree with me? Yeah, right? Emerald was good. Ruby, Sapphire, Oros, good. Could have been better, but good. And now, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Team Flare's thing was a little more straight up, we want to end humanity in particular. But where Team Galactic was just emo, Team Flare was just, we have a super weapon that we're going to use to literally end people. The rest of the world may continue to exist. Pokemon and everything in it, this world, are fine. The people suck. We have a super weapon, we're going to use a legendary to power it, and then we're literally going to end humanity. Team Galactic was, I will erase this world and make a new one that will be boring as hell and just an empty void because I'm emo like that. Team Flare is barely a step up, but they're a step up. Sword and Shield. might be a hot take. Yeah, you get where Flair's coming from, right? But yeah, no. Sword and Shield. I'm having a rough time picking where this is gonna go in here. Yeah, you know what? It's exactly what I'm doing. Sword and Shield is going in the good games section, above Pokemon Emerald, but below the Gen 2 sequels. I mean, sorry, Gen 5 sequels. Sword and Shield were actually really good games. Sure, maybe not at base. Base Sword and Shield, I probably would have stuck below Emerald. But with all the additions to it with the DLC, I think they were better games. And for all of its downsides, for all of like the boringness at points with Sword and Shield, and with the crap that was its endgame storyline, like what the hell was that? But Sword and Shield, at the end of the day, just walking into the wild area for the first time was such an amazing moment for me that I will never freaking forget that in a Pokemon game. Hop was a good character. For all the hate he gets, he was a really good character as a rival. Bede, he had character development. He was decent by the end of it. Marnie is fine. The gyms being that level of a spectacle was really cool. Hop, I liked Hop. Leon as champion was really cool. He had so much personality. And he was there for the whole game. Like, almost no other Pokemon game has the champion been that present for the entire game. And literally just spent the game showing off that he is deserving of that spot. The man was running around the whole region playing superhero while you were fighting gym fights. You literally went to follow him to see if you could help, and he would be there, like, already done. Right? Right? You're not wrong. Hop was good. Hop went through some serious character development. He went from, yeah, he's your childhood friend, he's the champion's little brother, to he feels so much stress to live up to the absolute monolithic entity that is his older brother in success. Like, growing up under the shadow of that guy, and then having his best friend be, like, absolutely ridiculous at Pokemon Battles 2 and just shit stomp him at every opportunity. And then he actually ended up having a mental breakdown because of it. And then he pulled himself out of it. He tried again. He figured himself out a little better. Showed up. Actually gave you a bit of a challenge in the in your final fight with him. And then moved on and went, you know what? I'm never going to match up to you and my brother. I'm going to make my own path. I'm going to become a Pokemon researcher. I'm going to become a professor when I grow up. That's like some of the best character development we've ever had in a rival. A lot of people shit talk him for being like the happy-go-lucky character at the beginning, but he is such a good character. He's one of the best rivals we've had in a long time. Now, the main villain of Sword and Shield is kind of non-existent, and what the hell even was that? But Yeah, being Hop feels like what it would be to be the second Kent child. Yeah, yeah. Hey, you have to live up to being Superman's little brother. Good luck. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot for that. Your older brother is Clark Kent and his best friend is Bruce Wayne. Yeah, good luck living up to any of that. Alright, we have saved this image. And now, I think what's going to be the final tier list of the night, and I'm not going to make it the Monster Hunter because this has been good. I've enjoyed this. This has been fun. My last tier list, because you asked for Digimon and this popped up. You going to tell me what half of these songs are? Yeah. Here's the problem. These are album covers, and I have absolutely no idea what the album cover looks like for half of these songs. I don't know if I can do this tier list. Oh well. Worth a shot. Let's see while I find something else to do for the final one. Anyone have any ideas for something they'd like to see a tier list of? Kang what? Also, hey man, how you doing? Are you talking about the favorite Pokemon thing? Is it? Hang on a sec. I've been doing that a lot lately. How about now? Doing that again, eh? Is it still out of sync? How about now? There we go. All right. Ooh, Super Robot tier list. Ooh. Let's see if I can pull one. '90s anime tier list, maybe. Well, there's one here for best pilots in Super Robot Wars 30, but not quite what I'm looking for. But if I have to go back to it, I call bullshit and a lot of things present on this list, but also could have done with some bigger pictures. Yeah, I don't like this one very much. Let's see what else there is for that. Oh, oh yeah. No, that's definitely a list. This is a list I like. Alrighty. Super Robot tier list. Some of these are horribly cut off, but I'm pretty sure I know which one each is. Where's Eva 1? There was a list that had Evangelion on it, but it also had some other things that just kind of. They're not super robots, so I don't know why I'd do the damn thing. God tier. Best. Classic. Oh, it is on this list, is it? In hadn't. Oh, yeah, it is there too, huh? As is. Man, if its head wasn't cut off. This is a rough list because there's all these really tiny, tiny, tiny pictures. I wonder if there's a way to zoom in on like the individual pictures here. Cause some of these are so tiny I can barely make out what they are. You got 5 days to beat God of War? Yeah, you do. Ah, I can just do that. Camera did it again, eh? Alright. That fix it? There you go. Alright. Now, not actually 100% sure which robot that is. But I do like the very combining robot look of it, though. I'm just gonna put that in classics. It looks cool. It's Godmars? Okay. I know the name, I've never actually seen it, so. That looks like Art Gurren Lagann. Yeah, it is. Okay. Arc Gurren Lagann. We have 6-part humanoid combiner. Ooh, all right. Arc Gurren Lagann kind of is one of the more overrated. They only really used that for like one episode, and then it immediately got superseded by something else. Uh, yeah. Black Getter won though. It's up there in one of those top designs just for Ryoma. Just for the ass kicking he handed out. I'm pretty sure this is the Lancelot, but I might be wrong. No, wrong color wings. That is acceptable. Yeah. Part of me wanted to say that was the Lancelot, but looking at it now, I am wrong. Very similar concept, though. The White Knight mech with the sword. Oh. Oh, I think I know what this is. CA. I tried to put that show out of my head. Pretty sure that's from CrossEng. I've kind of tried to forget that that show existed, so, yeah. And that appears to be Combattler. Yep. Oh, yeah. Combattler V. I don't think it's quite God tier, but it's definitely going up there as one of the best. Probably over Black Getter, because it's really just a Getter recolor, but... Okay. Then we have... Choginga Gurren Lagann. Kind of overrated. Still better than the Arc, though. Yeah. Why is every Gurren on here, but not most of the main Brave mecha? Right? Right? There's like I see a couple. Most of them look like they're just Gao Gaigar, but in different forms. Speaking of opening a new tab. Ah. Eh? I don't think this is one of the good ones, though. Mike Guyan deserves more respect. Yeah, I don't think it's overrated, but toss this in bad. It's still better than CrossEng. Eva, overrated as fuck. I have a feeling I know what this is, but the head's cut off. So yeah, it's Eva too. Okay, I thought so. Speaking of, you get bonus points for being red, but you're still overrated. Alrighty. No Big O, or would that be? I feel like Big O is closer to Real Robot. It's definitely like bordering on Super Robot, but yeah. Grendizer over here. Gonna go up there best. just above Combatler on the best list. So this is just stock Gao Gaigar, right? Yeah, okay. Because it looked like there was another form somewhere in here, so yeah, that's just the stock one. So yeah, Gao Gaigar, definitely up there. Above Combatler, below Grendizer. That's just Gumbuster, right? Yeah, it is. I wouldn't say Gumbuster's one of the best, but it's definitely up there as one of the classics. That's just Shin Getter. There's like 4 Getter Robos in a row here, so let me make sure I have the model right. Oh no, that's G. Okay. Getter G. Getter G's classic, but I don't think it's one of the best. Oh god. They literally put, oh my goodness. That's because Evangelion is overrated as hell. They literally just tossed Emperor on here, huh? Like, dude. Like, it's god tier. It honestly is. Getter Emperor is just. We're not judging the show. Look, man, even by Super Robot standards, the EVA units are pretty fucking stock standard. Yeah, but a lot of things can do that. Like, they're not terribly visually appealing. They don't do anything terribly cool. Oh, yay, biological mechs. Yeah, you still want Getter Emperor versus Unicron or Galactus? 100%. Needs to happen. Yeah, I think OG Getters still better than Getter G, but you know, it's still got that classic under design. Okay, now what the I can't say I terribly recognize this form of Getter Robo. Getter DV. Oh, de-evolution from a manga spinoff. Got it. Well, it looks fucking cool though. So I'm gonna stick it over here, like over Getter, over Black Getter, but under Combatler, because I just like Combatler. Oh, Gao Figar. Okay. Like, not as much as I like Gao Gaigar, not one of my favorite versions. It's going Figar is going in the overrated bin. It's not really a classic. It's nowhere near as good as the original. Not your favorite, but it's technically a Getter Emperor. Ooh, okay. That's the thing. What are you sending me a link to? This is the new tier list. Oh god. Oh god. Why would you send that to me? Why would you send that to me? Ugh. Bean pizza. Ugh. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. put a bad taste in my friggin' mouth just looking at it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is just gonna be Genetic Gal Geiger, right? Yup. Yup. Genetic's going in God tier. It 100% going in God tier. Great Mazinger. Was built by Dr. Utsumi that had a sample of getter EM and data on multiple getter timelines. Oh, okay. I think Great Mazinger is going to go in the classic section. It's nice, but it's not my favorite getter. It's probably my least, not hit getter. Not my favorite Mazinger. Probably my least favorite Mazinger, honestly. Who is this guy? Oh, Godanar. Oh, alright. I like the inclusion of Godanar on this list. Take that seat above Black Getter. Yep. I know who this is. I cannot remember the name for the life of me. I remember that show being kinda but yeah, I'm sticking you in overrated. I haven't cared much for that series at all. To the point where the names just kind of got put out of my head. You get an even lower version of that for being the other half of that. Is that the movie exclusive version? I see. Just that really didn't need to happen. I get it, but it didn't need to happen. Anyways, actual Gurren Lagann. Uh, I do appreciate the hell out of that design, but he's going up there at the bottom at best. Ah, okay, here we go. The mech from Gunnock's sword. I think he goes in the bottom of classic. It's cool, but I don't like him that much. Ah, ah, just Mazinger Infinite, huh? Eh, I really don't care that much for that design. And just some of the redesigns in that movie weren't great in the first place. I'll stick it here in the overrated side of things. Oh, frick, man. Jeeg? Jeeg? Oh, Jeeg's going up there. Oh, Kotetsu Shinji, a little bit higher. Who else we got? Ah, Another Gal Geiger mech. I believe. Not. Yeah. Gonna get. Still gonna go above Gurren Lagann. I see three different versions of Mazinger Z lined up here, so let's take a good look. Okay, the Mazinger Z IF version. So the Infinite version, OG Mazinger Z, Zero. Okay, OG Mazinger Z is going at the top of Classic. The Zero looks a little too bulky in the wrong places for my liking. It was gonna go in overrated over here. And then you have the If version, which it's okay. It's honestly better than a lot of other designs, I could say. Oh, that's another Moss. That's another Mossinger said. Okay, this version's pretty good though. It's gonna go up here. Oh yeah, regular Moss and Kaiser. Kaiser's going up in God tier. I love that design so much. I cannot say I've ever seen this Moss and Kaiser design before, but damn, looking regal as fuck. I do really like that. That's up there, God tier. And who is this? Ah, Raijino. That's pretty good. Maybe under Gurren Lagann. Ah, writing. OG writing. I'll sit you up there just behind Mazinger Z. Oh, from the remake. Okay. That's the rating from the remake, which quite frankly wasn't great as far as the designs go. Like, it took what was good about the old design and kind of ruined it. So, kind of just gonna throw you down into bad. Who dis? You're going in classic under great. This is the Majestic Prince. It was decent show, but definitely not bad. So I'll just kind of throw it here. And it's just Shin Getter. Yeah, Shin Getter. Regular Shin Getter is God tier. It really is. What's the difference here? Looks like Kaiser. File name says Shin Great Mazinger. The V definitely looks more like Great Mazinger's design. Is this just supposed to be like a Mazing Kaiser style redo of Great Mazinger? Because if so, damn. If so, geez. That definitely is going up there. Because that kind of fixes a lot about the things that I kind of met about with Great Mazinger's design. You still look like a Mazinger. Oh, Shin. Okay. That's Shin Mazinger Z. Okay. I mean, that's fair. It's some weird things with these designs. Shin is definitely right there. Ah, Mazen Kaiser's skull. Okay. That design I'll definitely put at the top of best, just for like the heavy metal aesthetic to it, but still not quite as good as original. Then you have Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, which kind of going at the top of the overrated bin because I did like that form for what it was, but it's still kind of just a stretch. Okay, so it's original Tetsujin and new and remake Tetsujin. Okay, so the original is definitely going to go in the classic pile, right up there with God and Mars. The newer one, it's definitely a lot more streamlined, but I don't think that makes it better. I think the new Tetsujin's just gonna go into bad. I don't care for design. That's just the Nirvash, right? Yeah. Can't say much bad about a surfing giant robot. You're gonna go up there in best. All right. And that's the super robot tier list. All righty. Thank you, everybody, for coming by tonight. I think I'm going to call the stream there. It's been fun. Had some fun putting out my list of favorite Pokemon and doing a bunch of Pokemon tier lists and a Super Robot tier list to end it off. So it's been pretty fun. But moving on, we're going to go right off to hmm. Do I go to Canadian Chad or Native Nighthawk, or do I raid Dragonair Jordan because I haven't seen him on in ages? Yeah, I think I'll go to Chad. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming by tonight. It's been fun. Thank you for hanging out with this slightly different than usual stream. I will be back tomorrow night with Overkill. Pretty sure we're playing 7 Days to Die, along with our buddy Chuck. And I will see you all then. And Tuesday, of course, is the Tuesday Night Fall Fight. And then Thursday, we're just going to probably play Kirby until Pokemon becomes playable. And then I'm going to spend the night playing it as long as I can. And then I'm gone all weekend, so won't be able to play again until Sunday. Anyways, thank you all for coming. It's been fun. All of these tier lists and my list of Pokemon is going to be up on Twitter and my Discord very soon. So you can all